Why do I do these things to myself? I just finished watching Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, and to say that I'm completely disgusted and grossed out by this entire Netflix documentary would be an understatement. What do I mean? Well, if you haven't seen the documentary, it's all about the story of Lisa Lam, and specifically Lisa Lam's disappearance at the Cecil Hotel. This was a big deal. It happened in about 2013, I think. She's a student from Canada. She went to Los Angeles for a visit, stayed in the Cecil Hotel, disappeared. 19 days later, they found her body in this water tank, right? The whole thing was incredibly horrible, right? Like, guests had been bathing in the water, drinking in the water, and poor Lisa had her body had been in the water tank on the roof of the hotel for 19 days and no one found her. But that's not why I'm grossed out by the documentary. The reason specifically that I'm so grossed out by the documentary is their heavy featuring of literally people who calling themselves web sleuths, who just like spin this documentary into the most sensational, horrible thing ever. Because you see, what happened is it was discovered after a lot of investigation that Elisa Lam had some very serious health issues, specifically bipolar disorder, which she was on different medications for, multiple medications. And so when the coroner in LA came out and they said, right, this is tragic, it looks like she was having some kind of mental health break and she climbed into the water tank and died, the web sleuths wouldn't have it. And the documentary shows them. These people, this is 11 years later, these people are still getting paid to sit on a screen on Netflix and go, I don't think so. I don't think so. That couldn't be. It couldn't be mental health. It couldn't be mental health. It was murder. And then they just go on and start talking about all these horrible ways that she was probably raped and murdered. And the reason it frustrates me so much is because, first of all, there's so much misinformation about bipolar disorder in that. Like, one of the main web sleuths who's featured heavily in this, the first thing he says when they start talking about that is, yeah, I've read a lot about bipolar disorder, and I don't see anything about bipolar disorder that would lead someone to go out onto the rooftop and trap themselves in a water tank. Excuse me? Then you didn't read anything about bipolar disorder. Do you know what bipolar disorder 1 is? It's very extreme. The people that live with it can have hallucinations, insane mood swings that they can't control. They can go into psychosis, like all kinds of stuff. Yes, absolutely. Someone with bipolar disorder could fall into the same tragic circumstances that Elisa Lam did. And despite all these terrible web sleuths, right? Because this is the thing. They use this video, the web sleuths, as their main point. They're like, no, if you watch this video of Elisa Lam in the elevator hours before she probably died, no, someone was definitely with her. That's not someone having a mental break. Let me tell you, as someone who's been hyper fixated on psychology and mental health and neurology, that Elisa Lam video absolutely shows signs of some kind of mental break. Down to the posturing of her hands, the way she moves her hands could show something potentially neurological that's going on with her. And despite that, despite experts who've come out and said, yeah, this to me looks like a very tragic incident of a horrible mental health tragedy, these web sleuths 11 years later are still sitting on a Netflix documentary making out that she was raped and murdered and all these horrible things. Why would you want that to happen to her? Anyway, totally grossed me out, completely grossed me out. The featuring of these web sleuths, the way they seem to want something horrible to have happened to Elisa, as if dying in a water tank alone is not horrible enough. It just, 0 out of 10, don't like it.